I'm Joanna Platzmeyer, and I will be discussing two aspects of Kant's Critique of Pure Reason, the second edition. The first of these concepts that I will be discussing is the transcendental exposition of the concept of time, and the second will be the conclusions that can be drawn from these concepts that Kant outlines. To begin, I will explain a bit about Kant and his motivations behind writing the Critique of Pure Reason. Kant wished to rework the claims of metaphysics, which he believed did not stand up to the scrutiny of skepticism. He believed that this inability to stand up to skepticism was a problem of metaphysical concepts proposed by past philosophers of his era or the Enlightenment. And as such, he wished to make the concepts of metaphysics able to stand up to the scrutiny so that they would be more applicable to our lives. Moving on to the transcendental exposition of the concept of time, Kant believed and attempted to articulate to his readers that while humans had a very elaborate and detailed a priori concept of space and time, that these ideas were merely grounded in our own consciousness, meaning that while these beliefs influenced every aspect of our day-to-day lives, that they did not actually have any bearing in real life, and that they were purely from our own existence. He says that all of the properties of space and time exist purely in our own minds, and that these properties have no reflections as to the actual conditions of the world, meaning while we may perceive that time has passed or that objects have certain spatial properties, that these actually are not properties of the objects and of our existence. Kant then argues that our concepts of both space and time cannot be derived by means of experience, meaning that we do not have a posteriori knowledge of these claims. For example, the mathematical process of geometry illustrates our mathematical knowledge of spatial concepts. Because we cannot understand the concept of a triangle or similar objects, as has been discussed by previous philosophers, this knowledge must be a priori. So, in order to understand concepts such as a triangle or a hexagon or something, you have to reach into your a priori knowledge, and that a posteriori knowledge cannot be used to describe such concepts. These examples further the argument that they are forms of a priori knowledge, though these concepts are synthetic and do not reflect things that are actually present in our world. The main conclusion that Kant draws from the concepts that I previously outlined is that time is merely an abstract concept that has no bearing on real-life phenomena. It is one that influences all of our actions in an a priori manner, while space is a condition that is limited to external phenomena, meaning that time can affect what is going on in your outside world, and it can affect what is going on in your brain and in your mind, but that space cannot affect your mind, and that it can merely affect the outside world instead. As such, time can influence our internal workings, and space merely influences what is going on around us. As Kant explains and draws conclusions from the concepts of space and time, he is attempting to redefine metaphysics so as to withstand heavy scrutiny, which, as I mentioned earlier, he has problems with the way that past philosophers have described metaphysics, and so he attempts to make it more sound and to remove some of the contradictions that are present in it. By explaining that time and space are products of a priori knowledge, that cannot be gained through experience, he reinforces the idea that these conditions are purely products of our own minds and have no bearing on the world around us. Because these concepts have no bearing on the world around us and are purely concepts of our own minds, they can only be acquired a priori. And as such, experience through the real world cannot lead to their discovery.